So if you were watching or listening in there on Louis' demonstration of Foxar AR and wondering how you can start to introduce augmented reality and models such as the app into your classroom, we're going to explore today how you could build and create your own virtual field trip, allowing your students in your classroom to explore a location somewhere that they may not be able to go on a school trip due to cost or distance or behaviour, but still give them the same opportunity of exploring a museum type trip. So for this today, you're going to see I'm going to be working in Freeform by Apple. Freeform is essentially a completely unlimited canvas that you can work from, and allows you to bring together all the different types of media that you might need to create something like this. So I'm just going to pinch out, and as I do, you're going to see that my virtual field trip is going to appear all in one go there. So I've got so many different resources here that are going to give my students the opportunity to explore their own field trip as if they were in a museum. Now, just like letting children loose into a museum, you're going to have to guide their learning if you want them to go and explore what you're hoping that they will learn. So in the bottom of my Freeform here, I would be maybe looking at some questions that I would want my students to be keeping in their minds as they go and explore and take their own field trip. So I would have some things that I would be wanting them to focus on. And as we look at our virtual field trip here in Freeform, I'm going to show you how we can bring together so many different elements to create our own digital museum as such. So Louis was showing a demo a few moments ago of using the app, and he had very kindly created a model Titanic in the app for me to use with my students and to use for today. Just at the moment, I'm going to play you a little video that I have within there, which is the Titanic model sitting in my classroom, and this was in our classroom, allowing our students to explore around the ship, put into context all the different elements of the boat that we've been talking about, how they contributed to the disaster. So I'm going to show you that again, just if you missed it, within the app that Louis had, and then I'm going to show you how, as a teacher, you can really easily capture your own little virtual tour of the AR model and how you could build a resource from that. So I'm going to be able to bring Titanic into the theatre here with us. So this is one of the models in the Foxar app, and when I open the model, it's going to allow me to turn it into an AR version. So I'm going to turn on the AR version of the ship. I'm just going to place it right here on the seat in front of us. So now with my iPad I can move and explore around. If I wasn't connected by a cable, if I was using Apple TV in the classroom, I would be able to go right around our model there. So you can see one of the things we look at when we're learning about the disaster is the lifeboats, exploring the fact that there weren't enough lifeboats for all the passengers, and we also look at the fact of how the disaster could have been avoided if the people up in the crow's nest there at the very front of the ship had been able to access the binoculars that were locked away that would have allowed them to spot. So my students could be hands-on with their own iPads exploring what they want from the ship. Very cool feature of this model, of course, Titanic wouldn't be the story it was without the iceberg, and we can add in an AR version of the iceberg, which brilliantly gives our students the context of the size of the iceberg made to scale compared to the ship, and also, if you'll see there, just what caused the damage under the water. So it's really hard for children to visualize that element of it. So these models, this is just one of the examples of over 100 models that Louis has for free within the Foxar app. If I was wanting to create this simply as a resource for me as a teacher to show my pupils or to use as a resource, just by flicking in from the top of my screen and using the screen record button on the iPad, I can actually capture this as my own video. So I might start by going in and looking at the funnels, talking about how I did 4 funnels to make it look more powerful than any other ship. Then we might explore our lifeboats round to the crow's nest at the front, and then we could capture what we wanted to see in terms of the iceberg, and just look how much of that iceberg was under the water causing all the damage. And if I stop my screen record there, I have now captured that video. So I have that to use however I want, and that's where freeform comes in brilliantly. It gives me this completely open canvas to put all the different resources that I want. So I could just tap on my photos and add in my video that I've just created, and you'll see, there we go, I have my video. And I can keep all the pieces nice and small on my canvas, and when my students want to explore it, they simply tap, press the I button, and they're taken into what it is that I want them to look at and play. So I've got my video ready for them to learn with there. Now, another element on a field trip, of course, is seeing where you're going and exploring somewhere different. To do that, we have used Apple Maps. So Apple Maps is brilliant. We can search and visit any location, and then we can do something called a flyover. So this will take us on a 3D tour of whatever city we want. So we would be looking at the centre of Belfast and exploring out towards Belfast Lough and seeing where Titanic was built, the museum that now forms one of our biggest tourist attractions, Harland and Wolff shipyard where Titanic was famously built, and we're going to zoom in a moment down into the museum that we would go to if we wanted to go on an actual field trip to Titanic Belfast. And again, that was created within Apple Maps. Really straightforward for you as a teacher. When you drop into Maps, you can search for anywhere. So if I wanted, you'll see it's going to take me back to the XL in London. If I search for Titanic Belfast, you will see here it'll take me to just above the place I want to go, and I can easily zoom in, and of course then I want to create the 3D view, so I can just flick with my fingers into the 3D version, and I can explore right round the building, the surroundings, and everywhere that we want to go. And again, using the screen record feature, I could turn on screen record, I could be moving through whatever city, whatever location I'd want to capture a virtual tour of, and I would have that video to add into my freeform as part of my tour, just as you saw there with my video capture of Belfast. And then we want to complete our museum style tour. Well, if you ever have the opportunity to go to lovely Belfast and explore the Titanic Museum, you'll move through 5 galleries such as this, which look at the construction, the journey, the passengers, the disaster, and then the stories and the conspiracies that came after the disaster itself. So you'll see again in freeform, it's so easy to build in lots of multiple different types of resources. So here I have a web link for my students to explore. When I press view, it takes them straight to a website all about the construction. They'll be keeping my questions in mind that I had at the start of my tour that I wanted them to find out, so they can be exploring the answers that I want within there. Or I can be building in a set of videos. So you'll see here I have a link to 5 different YouTube videos that are covering the 5 main areas of our learning as part of our Titanic topic. This could be something that I travel and explore, or my students explore in one day as part of their trip, or it could be something that we dip in and out of over 5 different lessons, and they explore a different element each time we go into it. So we could have a virtual field trip that runs over 5 days or 5 weeks as we build through our topic. So easy to create in freeform and to collate this all into one place. So you'll see if I wanted to add in, for example, a photo or a video that I have, I just tap on photos, and there's my image that I used from the Titanic Museum, and I can move and locate however I want within the context of my size. I can add a link, so if I wanted to go to the website that I had there, I can simply copy the link, and in freeform I just tap on this button to add in my resources. I go to link, and when I paste it, you will see it puts it straight in and forms a little preview quick link once it goes in there. Oh, just a little bit of bet Wi-Fi there, which, oh, let's see, we've got it. There we go. And again, I can size that. And what's really good, I've done this with my own students, there are lots of resources within there. You can see at the top, you can add in shapes really easily. So I know when I've created something like this for my own students, I've actually placed arrows to guide them around in the order that I want them to explore what we're looking at. So I might create my arrow to say that the first place we're going to look is Apple Maps. We're going to explore Titanic Belfast. And then the next place I want you to explore is going to be going into Louis' Foxar app. Let me just get my arrow back in there. So you'll see. There we go. The hardest part today is going to be getting my arrow to rotate. There we go. And I can be guiding my students through that. So I could be creating my own little virtual tour in the order that I wanted to move through. And then I could be setting a little task then, an open-ended task at the very end of my tour or the end of my topic, where I give my students a set of challenges that they might do to showcase to me their learning from our tour. So of course there's nothing worse than going on a field trip or going to a museum knowing that you have to come back to school the next day and do some work on it. But we could make that work engaging and in a really different format, and we still haven't left the classroom. So a really nice idea that I've used with my class there, for example, is using GarageBand to record an audio advert for Titanic Belfast. So after they've explored the building and the different galleries, they create their own advert to encourage people to take their tour. Or I could be using the Foxar app that I showed you there. My students could be using a screen record, and they're actually then voicing over that to tell me what they've learnt from their 3D model. So there's so many different options there, but for me as a teacher, I have one platform that I've been able to bring all of that together, and a great use case for AR. It's a big topic, it's a big thing out there at the moment, and yes, it's cool, but of course as teachers, we want to make sure that we have a purpose and our reason, and we're choosing why we're doing our learning. So thank you very much for coming on our virtual field trip today. If you would like to see any more of how to do that in freeform, or you'd like to come and have a play with some of the models in the Foxar app, we can set you up and let you have a look at them and get hands-on with them now today. So thank you very much.